Two Chairs No Waiting, episode number 385. Mayberry Meet-up 2016. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the fine folks over at Weaver's Department Store. Drop by weaversdepartmentstore.com. They got some great stuff in. The brand new 2017 Andy Griffith Show wall calendar just hit the shelves today. So head over to weaversdepartmentstore.com and check that out. Also, 2 new t-shirts. Nobody escapes from the Mayberry jail, and you'll have to go through us first. 2 new Mayberry shirts, all over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Hello, everybody. I'm Alan Newsom, your host for Two Chairs No Waiting, and I should have said executive producer of Two Chairs No Waiting. Episode number 385 is Bob Mundy. Bob, he's our Briscoe Darling tribute artist. He and Pat, he and his wife. So we'll give them both executive producerships and thank them for supporting Two Chairs No Waiting. I want to thank you, and I want to thank our patrons as well. All the patrons that support us over at Patreon. You can support us a little bit every week or every episode, $1 an episode or something, and support the show. So we thank you all for any support that you're able to show us. And folks, we're going to be talking this week about the Mayberry Meet-up. Now, we just got back from that. We had the Mayberry Meet-up, and we've been working on this for quite a while. This is our 4th Mayberry Meet-up. Golly, 4. We've already done 4. And what happened was, if you haven't ever heard the story, the first time, 4 years ago, I was going up to interview Betty Lynn up in Mount Airy, North Carolina. That's Andy Griffith's hometown, but that's where Betty Lynn, Thelma Lou, that's where she lives. So we were headed up there, my wife and I just kind of said, hey, I'm going to be up in Mount Airy in that July weekend, whichever one it was that year, and ask if there's anybody going to be up there. Maybe we could get together and we'll have a meetup. We'll go out and eat and visit, and have a good time. Well, Little did I realize that there's a lot of folks that evidently wanted to head up there to Mount Airy. So we ended up, I think we had 20 people probably that first meetup. At some point before we went, I actually started getting kind of nervous because I realized, man, there's 20 or 25 people coming to this thing. I was just planning on just going out and eat. What are we going to do? And I kind of felt like, I need to come up with something for everybody to do now that, it was never, I didn't intend for it to be that many, but I tell you, it turned out great. And we got together. I was able to come up with a projector so we could project the Andy Griffith Show on a screen. So on Friday and Saturday night, we watched Andy Griffith Show at the Mayberry Motor Inn gazebo and had a great time and did what we needed to during the day. Interviewed Betty Lynn, went to the museum, did all kinds of stuff. So that was a one-time thing, kind of, we thought, but it went so well. I thought, well, hey, let's do that again next year. So now this is our 4th year of having the Mayberry Meetup. And even while we were there, folks were finding out about it on Facebook because people were posting pictures and talking about it. And they were like, oh, I wish I'd have known about this. I would have come. So it was in the e-bullet. So folks, make sure you read the e-bullet and make sure your friends who are Andy Griffith Show fans, make sure they read the e-bullet because a lot of people evidently subscribe to the e-bullet, but they don't actually read the e-bullet because it was in the calendar of events about the Mayberry Meetup. And, we had a great time there, but I'm not sure everybody that would have come, was able to because we had a lot of people telling us that. So, tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to talk about this weekend. And as I do, I'm going to also kind of give you just a little bit of the schedule because we had a great schedule of events that we had for the event. And I always send it out. I say event for the meetup in Mount Airy. And I always send it out to all the folks that are signed up. So they all get a copy of it. And it's always fun. Now, we got there a little bit early, my wife, Jan, and I. So we went to the meetup a little bit early. Of course, on our way there, we had to go to Cracker Barrel. Now, this is a funny running gag, too. If you're on Facebook with me and follow me on Facebook, You can follow me on Facebook. If you just go to facebook.com/A Newsome, you can follow me. And I'm always posting that I'm at Cracker Barrel. And so this time was no different. We were in Cleveland, Tennessee, and I posted, hey, we're heading up to the Mayberry Meet-up, and, I thought we'd try something new. And then I posted a picture of a particular table at the Cracker Barrel in Cleveland, Tennessee that said, we've never eaten at this table before. Anyway, that's how things got started. Jan and I were heading up. On our trips, we always stop at Cracker Barrel and get us something to eat. And it's always a lot of fun. Now, when we got up to Mount Airy to the day early, this was on a Thursday night, we met up with Otis, and we actually went over to the Loaded Goat. That's right. It's a new sports pub and grill. It's really a hamburger place. I guess it's a pub as well. Very nice place, but it's called the Loaded Goat. The guy just moved to Mount Airy last fall and opened this restaurant, and it was a lot of fun to eat in there, especially since we were eating with Otis and several folks there. We ate with the Miles that run the Mayberry on Main, and a local couple there, the Hookers, and it was a great time with them. And we also were with Rick and Kay Grimsley. Rick is what? I thought my wife said something. So they ate with us. Now Rick is our tribute artist who does Henry Bennett, in case you didn't know. So we were all having to sit around reaching across our head with our right arm and grabbing our left earlobe, and we had to eat that way. But it was all right. It was fun just the same. So it was a great trip up. You can see Pilot Mountain when you're driving into Mount Airy from just about any direction, whether you're coming from the south or from the north. You'll see the Pilot Mountain knob as you're heading into town. So you're getting close to Mount Airy and to Mayberry whenever you see that. So folks are always seeing it. Now, I had a great setup there at the Mayberry Motor Inn gazebo. Goober Fife in our chat room. He had taken the time, great guy that he is, and actually had a sign set up that says Mayberry Meet-up, relax, what's your hurry? And hung it there on the gazebo. And wow, what a great thing. It had rocking chairs on it. So this was great. He also had a sign that he made himself that says, relax tonight, tags under the stars. So we had a sign out there, and of course we had a lot of fun talking about it. Now what this did though, it actually let people that were staying there at the Mayberry Motor Inn know that we're going to be doing stuff out there. And you know what? We had, oh my goodness, we probably had, I guess 6 or 8 people, maybe 10 that were from there at the Motor Inn came out there and visited with us and watched the Andy Griffith Show on the big screen out under the stars on Friday and Saturday night. And we even had a local couple that showed up that lived about a mile and a half away. They just came over and parked in the parking lot and came out and sat with us and watched the Andy Griffith Show. It was great. Had a great time. So around town, you'd see things like Howard Sprague and Otis, because Jeff Branch, he was there with us as well, and Ken Junkin, Otis. Howard Sprague is Jeff Branch, plays Howard Sprague, but he's always being called Floyd the Barber. So this particular instance, he had a T-shirt on that looked like a Floyd's barbershop, or Floyd's outfit with a coat and a tie and everything. So he said, since people are always calling him Floyd, he's just going to dress up that way. So he was dressed around town in Mayberry there, if you'd have seen him during the meetup. And we headed over to Floyd's barbershop. Russell Hyatt passed away, a few months ago. And so we all headed over to visit over there. Bob Mundy was there. That's Briscoe, darling, our Briscoe tribute artist. And Bill Hyatt, Russell's son, was cutting everybody's hair, or pretending to, so we could get our hair cut there at Floyd's barbershop. And it was a great time. He even got me into the act since I was there. He said I was the, well, I don't know if remember he called it the real Floyd. I'm the real Floyd impersonator. But it was a great time. I pretended to cut Briscoe's hair, and his head's, we had to use a bowl because, he gets his hair cut with a bowl under his head. That's how he does it. but that was fun. I even sat down in the chair myself and got a haircut. And Bill was trying to get it right. He decided that one lobe was lower than the other. So he had Chloe, a young lady there that came over and was trying to put her finger in one ear so that he could judge from the other side if he was getting the sideburn straight. So he still didn't do it. He still didn't get it straight. So, but we had a good time. And then we, like I said, Rick was there. He plays Henry Bennett, our tribute artist for Henry Bennett. And so Bill was looking for a boy with some a redheaded boy to rub his hair to ward off the jinx from Henry Bennett. But all he could find was a red baseball cap. So he was rubbing on it as he was going to cut Bill's hair. And the hard part was he too was trying to hold his earlobe as he cut Rick's hair. And, that just didn't work out quite as good as he had hoped. Folks, there's all kinds of things in Mount Airy. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't been, I definitely want to encourage you to go. There's Barney's Cafe. Folks are there. The Miles run Mayberry on Main. You got Debbie and Daryl Miles. They run it. They moved to Mount Airy and opened up a shop that's full of Mayberry stuff. So a whole bunch of us, Goober 5 from the chat room, and Otis and Howard and me and my wife Jan, we're all there getting our picture made with Daryl. It's a great shop. If you haven't been there, make sure you go. There's Walker's soda fountain. You can get you an ice cream. There's folks getting that. And of course the Snappy Lunch is there, and you can head in there and get you something to eat. And we went over to, part of the schedule was on Friday, we were heading over to the depot. Now the depot is in Dobson, Dobson, North Carolina. Dobson, Alabama would have been a pretty far drive from Mount Airy, but Dobson, North Carolina. Well, it turns out it was closed. Now, this is the first year it had been closed, and there's some speculation that it was because Henry Bennett was with us, but we're not quite sure about that. He says that's not the reason, but it was closed that night, so we ended up having to kind of fend for ourselves, and different folks went to different places. We ended up going to Sagebrush. There was a big crowd of us that were able to go there, and we got to sit in the Mayberry room in the back and visit and had a good meal. But all this was before we were headed back over to the Mayberry Motor Inn to be able to do the actual meetup portion of our gathering. Because in the meetup, we get together outside the Motor Inn there in the gazebo, and we played trivia this year, which was a new thing. We got together and played trivia games, and that was a lot of fun. But then it finally got dark enough, and we were able to set up the big screen, and everybody's watching the Andy Griffith Show and just enjoying themselves. So that's basically a rundown of everything that happened on that first night. It was a lot of fun. The trivia game, let me tell you a little bit about it, is we were playing trivia. It was actually how we're going to do trivia this year at Mayberry Days. Now, if you guys have ever been to Mayberry Days and had been to the trivia contest, the trivia questions are usually so doggone hard you can't answer it. So this year we're going to do a little different. We're going to have a trivia qualification round for adults to qualify to play in the Championship of Mayberry Trivia. And then it's going to be more of a Jeopardy type thing where you got a button. You have to, when we ask the question, you've got to buzz in. So we were playing that as part of this event. And that actually turned out, it seems to be pretty good. Everybody seemed to enjoy it, and it's going to be more fun, I think, for the crowd to just play along. Howard and Otis actually were dressed up this weekend, and so they were seen around town. They were at different restaurants, and they were also down at the museum, at the Mayberry at the Andy Griffith Museum as well. And folks were all around town checking out Mayberry Union High, the Darlings Cabin. We ate. This was the first time, believe it or not, I've been to Mount Airy. Wow, 30, 50 times probably. I don't know. And I had never eaten at Leon's. So Saturday I was able to eat over at Leon's. Great hamburgers. I got a California cheeseburger. It was good. And Jan and I ate there. Otis was up according to what I saw in some pictures, Otis was over at Walker's drugstore and at the soda fountain there, and it looked like to me he was slipping something in one of the drinks he was drinking. Now Howard was supposed to be watching him, but Floyd wasn't there. He wasn't deputized for this event, so I don't know what happened. Finally, though, on Saturday we headed over to the Mayberry to the Andy Griffith Museum. We got pictures outside there where the statue of Andy and Opie are. And we headed to the museum and looked around inside for a while and found there's all kinds of great stuff there at the museum if you have not been there. So I want to encourage you. You can see the original sheriff and justice of the peace signs that were on the front door to the courthouse. That's right, the original ones. So Andy Griffith had these in his garage, actually, and gave them to Emmett several years ago. So if you've never been in the museum, you need to go because you can see those. You can see Goober's, his dress suit, his suit he wore when he was dressed up. He's also got his Goober outfit as well, but his pinstripe suit that you'd see George Lindsay wearing on episodes, that's in the museum. Hal Smith, Otis, his hat and jacket that he wore and tie, his entire outfit really is right there in one of the cases, and you can actually see that if you go to the museum. There's even a shirt that Andy Griffith wore in one of the episodes. He gave it to Emmett. There's a letter there that Andy had written to Emmett that you can read about, and it is a real shirt that was tailor made for Andy Griffith to wear as Andy Taylor. Definitely something you want to see. And of course, Don Knotts, his salt and pepper suit is in there, as well as the black jacket that he wore when he was riding the white horse, trying to do that. We visited around the museum for a while, and then we went down and got to participate and listen to Neil Brower in his wonderful class that he gave us. And wow, it was so much fun. As I said, Otis and Howard were there in the museum, and I even got my picture made with them as just me. I don't know if I have ever done that before. So it was great. But we were standing right in front of the courthouse desk. And now when you're there, the courthouse desk actually has the gavel and several things that Andy had sitting on his desk in the actual episodes. They even have a Goober beanie that was bronzed that George Lindsay had, that it's there in the museum as well. Matlock's chair, Matlock's suit, they got all kinds of cool stuff. So I definitely want to encourage you to head in there. Oh, and by the way, if you're in there, look around for a New York Times newspaper. It's in there. And I don't want to brag or anything, but my picture's on that newspaper. Yep. Yeah, it's from about 1997. The New York Times was in Mount Airy that year, doing a story about the parade there in Mount Airy, or not the parade, at the parade. They were at the parade, and they took a picture of myself as Floyd, David Browning as the Mayberry deputy, and Phil Lee as Ernest T. Bass. And we actually made the front page of the New York Times. Well, that New York Times is hanging in the museum there for the Andy Griffith Museum. And we always kidded. It's been a long time since it happened, but David and Phil and myself all kidded around that we made the front page of the New York Times and never had to kill anybody. But if you go to the museum, look for me because I'm actually in there. Oh, and not like Barney or anything, but I just happen to have a copy right here in my hand as well. So, if you don't get to see it there, maybe you can. Maybe you can see, maybe you can watch the video version of this, and you'll be able to see the actual story right here. New York Times. I feel like Barney when he was in the paper. He's rescued everybody from the cave rescue, and he bought $10 worth of newspapers. Well, so did I. So anyway, that newspaper is hanging in the Mayberry Andy Griffith Show Museum. So go just notice me if you want to. Then we set back up again after all that and got everything going again. We had Subway sandwiches delivered, and folks brought desserts, and there was just a crowd of people that showed up to visit. We set up all the projectors. We had Otis and my wife Jan. She's pointing to herself. She got the Subway sandwiches ordered and helped get everything set up. She did a lot of work, actually, and I do appreciate it. There was a lot done, not just by Jan and me, but by Goober Fife, Dick. He did a lot of stuff, and Michelle Bryson, she did a lot helping us as well. Alma from the Mayberry Motor Inn, she was extremely helpful, allowing us to do all this stuff at the Motor Inn. It was a beautiful night for a July evening in the summer, as it was. It was not hot at all, and wow, we had a great time. We played some more trivia, and it went well again. Everybody seemed to enjoy themselves, and we were just waiting on it to get dark, so we told stories. I told some stories. Kenneth Otis, he told stories. Everybody visited with one another, and wow, isn't that what it's really all about, the Andy Griffith Show, and visiting with your friends and your neighbors. Steve Hinckley was there. If any of y'all have met Steve has several items in the Andy Griffith Museum if you look for them. He makes great metal figurines made out of car parts and stuff. They're absolutely amazing. Kyle and Colin, they were both there with their families. It was just a great day. We probably had, I would say there was probably 50 to 60 people there, that were just enjoying the company. And we watched the Andy Griffith Show. Everybody had their lawn chairs and different chairs sitting out where they could see. We watched The Darlings Are Coming, several different episodes of the Andy Griffith Show, about 4, I guess, that we watched. And it was just another amazing evening. Folks seemed to really enjoy it. And like I said, we turned out, wow, the Lord blessed us because the weather was absolutely amazing. We didn't get too hot or too cold, either one. I actually did see somebody wearing a jacket because they were sitting in close to the fan that we had blowing. So anyway, that was Saturday night. And then to wrap everything up on Sunday, we had at 9:30 Sunday morning in the gazebo, we did the Mayberry Bible study. And we probably had about 25 people involved in the Bible study. So you'll be able to hear that soon as well. It'll be released at the Mayberry Bible Study Podcast.com. You'll be able to listen to that as we did the Bible study on The Darlings Are Coming. And it was just it was a great weekend. Everybody, I think, enjoyed themselves. I know I certainly did. And it was just amazing. So yeah, if you're like I said, if you're in the museum, make sure you look around because Steve Hinckley, as I said, he makes cool looking little figurines made out of car parts. Well, there's some of those in the museum, and I actually have one here that he made for me that's a Floyd the Barber one as well. He's got, I think, a Betty Lynn one, Thelma Lou, there in the actual playhouse. So definitely head and check that out as well. So, but we had a great time. The Mayberry Bible study went very well. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy that. I'll definitely try to let you know when that's coming up. But folks, if you didn't get to come to the meetup, we'll try to do it again next year. I'd like to even, if I ever get time, to actually have another one somewhere else, like maybe in Nashville or somewhere. I'm heading to Nashville, just to get one there, just so people that live further from North Carolina might be able to make it to Nashville or Birmingham or somewhere like that. So if there's enough interest, maybe I'll do that, and we'll try to figure out somewhere where we can do it. But the Mount Airy and the Mayberry Motor Inn is an amazing place for us to be able to have these things. Again, I can't thank all of them enough, folks there that helped us, and the folks at the Motor Inn. Alma and her whole family are amazing. So, folks, if you were there, if you have any great stories you'd like to share with me, I'd love to hear them. You can call me at 888-684-8415. You can share them with us, or you can just tell it to me. I'd love to hear from you. And if you'd like to go next time, keep watching, stay tuned, and pay attention, because we tell about the meetup for several weeks before it happens. Try to give you time. But we've been doing them in July, so go ahead and plan for next July. Folks, if you can't make it to those, head on over in August. There's an event in Troy, North Carolina you'll want to go to. Go check out the event calendar at imayberry.com. The information is there. Then, so if you go to Troy, or you can then head to Mayberry Days and go on the Mayberry Cruise, all that stuff, the information is there. Folks, until next time, we'll see you here on Two Chairs.